It would be difficult for me to decide if I think a well-written title or a well-designed thumbnail is more important when creating a YouTube video. On the one hand, the title of the video is what will actually capture a viewer and get them to click on a video. On the other hand, a thumbnail that stands out in the search results will be what gets the viewer to read your title in the first place. In any case, you should take creating thumbnails and titles for your videos very seriously. While YouTube is getting better and better at recommending screen capture moments in your video and auto-generating pretty good thumbnails, I still think it's worth putting a little extra effort into it. In fact, according to YouTube, 90% of the best performing videos on YouTube have custom thumbnails. Now, I'm not exactly sure what they consider best performing, but these are their words, not mine. You'll want to include at least a little text, and possibly use some photo editing software to highlight important parts so that viewers will notice. We personally use Photoshop as part of our Creative Cloud suite to edit our thumbnails, but there are plenty of free options like GIMP or Photopea online. Alternatively, there are a ton of apps out there for your phone or tablet that are more than powerful enough to put, text on a thumbnail and upload it to YouTube. Teaching you graphic design from the ground up is way beyond the scope of this course. However, there are plenty of free tutorials online, or Phil has a Photoshop course that I can highly recommend that will take you from start to finish. Once you feel comfortable navigating the photo editing software of your choice, here are just a few tips to help you optimize your thumbnails for YouTube. 1. Include yourself in your thumbnails. If there's one thing our YouTube manager made abundantly clear in all of our consultations, it's that thumbnails with people outperform those with only graphics. In the early days of our YouTube career, we would design a completely original thumbnail for each and every one of our videos with vector art. As it turns out, that's not the best way to attract attention from new viewers. Include yourself, and ideally the subject of your video in the thumbnail. In the case of our Instant Pot review, a simple counter-up shot with the appliance and your face would be ideal. For our Is College Worth It video, maybe just a selfie in front of your school would do the trick. Overlay a shortened version of your title on your thumbnail. Ideally, only use 3 words or less. Remember that most people are viewing your video on mobile devices, and it's entirely possible that your entire thumbnail that you put all this time into takes up less than an inch of real estate on their screen. The thumbnails that catch my eye the most use high contrast, big bold lettering. For our woodworking project, you might overlay the words, "No power tools," or "My first project," or "Easy cutting board." If I personally saw bold letters in a thumbnail saying "No power tools," my interest would be piqued enough to at least read the title, which would tell me exactly what to expect in the video. Avoid clickbait thumbnails. Although a thumbnail with a half-dressed woman in a bikini might get you more initial clicks, when the video doesn't include that imagery, as it would be against of YouTube's terms of service anyway, you'll lose watch time and the video will stop being suggested because people are clicking away. As you'll learn later in the Grow Your Channel section, subscribers don't really matter, views don't really matter, watch time is what YouTube values the most. Not to mention, if you want to make money on YouTube, your thumbnails, titles, and content should all be advertiser-friendly in YouTube's words, meaning they don't use sexual imagery, profanity, violence, or drugs. Use high-resolution images. YouTube recommends that your thumbnails be at least 1280 by 720 pixels, but we personally always just set up our Photoshop for 1920 by 1080, and that has always worked well across all devices. Once your photo editing skills improve a little bit, try to include some depth in your thumbnail. A good thumbnail will have a foreground, a middle ground, and a background. In our case, most of our backgrounds are captures from the video itself, and then the middle ground is the text, and then the foreground is the subject. So if we took our Instant Pot review example, the background would be the kitchen, the middle ground would be our text that said Instant Pot review, and then the foreground would be the Instant Pot itself and our face, so that the viewer knows exactly who and what the video is about.